What I plan to do this morning is use the Rabe of Nanking, the subject of my new book, as just one example to illustrate what the Japanese did in many of the regions that they conquered.
Hi, my name is Carly Brady. My great-grandfather, Richard Brady, worked as a surgeon at the Drum Tower Hospital in Nanjing.
Hi everyone, it's Elaine here from Shandong, China. Welcome to my channel, and this is my first video. A few days ago, I went on an Let's Go for a travel to Nanjing. I would like to share what I saw and heard during this trip, and this video records my first day in Nanjing. I hope you will like it. I arrived in Nanjing by high-speed rail after 3 hours, then checked in and headed to the first place, the Memorial Hall of the Victims in Nanjing Massacre by Japanese Invaders. The Memorial Hall needs to be booked in advance. I made an appointment 1 week ago for today's afternoon from 2:30 to 4:30. As it was only around 1 o'clock p.m. when I came over here, I first visited the nearby Nanjing Yunjin Museum. After entering the museum, you will first see an introduction to the history of Yunjin. Go up to the second floor for a detailed visit, and a video of foreigner visiting is playing at the entrance. Entering the museum, you can see a variety of exquisite Yunjin products. Zhangzhou velvet weaver model, and the process of weaving using Dahualou wooden draw-loom. The loom, 5.6 meters long, 4 meters high, 1.4 meters wide, has been used to today since finalizing its design in the Ming Dynasty. Weaving is done manually by 2 people. One controlling Yunjin pattern sits on the upper layer of the loom to lift the warp thread, and the other controlling Yunjin color sits on the bottom to weave the weft. The 2 people can only weave 5 to 6 centimeters in a day, hence the saying inch of Yunjin and inch of gold. The Dahualou wooden draw-loom represents the highest achievement of ancient Chinese weaving techniques and is known as the living fossil of Chinese brocade craftsmanship. Looking at these various exquisite fabrics, including ancient official uniforms. The emperor dragon robes, paintings, poem. These are all Yunjin products. Look at these wedding dresses. It's amazing. Again, here is beautiful paintings. In the end, you will see the conclusion. Yunjin is a world-class representative work of human oral and intangible cultural heritage. Next, I came to the memorial hall of the victims in Nanjing Massacre by Japanese invaders. There were many people queuing up to enter the hall, which was a must-visit place for everyone coming to Nanjing. I believe that every Chinese has been engraved on their mind this period of history, but not everyone knows the specific details, process, and many related people involved. Through this visit, I have learned more specific evidence and facts, seeing the names of the victims and their corpses piled up at the bottom of the pit. I was deeply saddened with a silent cry. I learned that many foreigners stayed in Nanjing to rescue many Chinese people, including German Zhang Rabe and American missionary Minnie Vautrin. This is a former residence of Rabe. During the period of the War of Resistance against Japan, he served as the chairman of the Nanjing International Security Committee and designated 25 safety zones to rescue over 250,000 Chinese.
This is an underground air raid shelter built in his residence, which rescued many nearby residents. At that time, he insisted on writing a diary every day, and more than 2,400 pages of Rabe's diary became direct evidence of the Japanese massacre in Nanjing. After being forcibly sent back to Germany, he continued to work hard to rescue the Chinese and gave 5 consecutive speeches accusing Japan of atrocities committed in China. As a result, he was imprisoned until Germany's defeat. But due to his Nazi identity, he was imprisoned for a long time. When he finally gained his freedom, he lived a very difficult life. After learning about it, the citizens of Nanjing quickly raised funds and supplies and delivered them to Rabe's hands. The funding for Rabe continued until his death in 1950. In 1985, the term of use of Rabe's cemetery expired, and the Nanjing People's Government funded the renewal of the term of use of Rabe's cemetery and the reconstruction of Rabe's tomb. His tombstone is covered with yuhua stones from Nanjing.
In 1997, his granddaughter donated his original tombstone to the Memorial Hall of the Victims. In 2020, Dr. Thomas Rabe, the grandson of Zhang Rabe, and his family were diagnosed with COVID-19 and asked the Chinese embassy for help. They needed a medicine made in China. After learning about it, a Chinese pharmaceutical company decided to give away for free. Besides, Nanjing citizens donated over 200 sets of protective suits, over 600 bottles of medicine, and over 30,000 masks to Germany in the shortest possible time. American missionary Minnie Vautrin, also known as Huaqun in Chinese, has been in China for over 20 years and devoted her entire life to education in China. When Nanjing fell to the Japanese, Vautrin turned the campus into a refugee camp where thousands of ragged Chinese women and children poured into the zone.
这人呢，就是好像他人好，还不是这样吗？他是大公无私的。我要不是活下去的话，我不会幸免。
She recorded in her diary the crimes committed by Japanese soldiers in Nanjing, and she said that all crimes in this world have occurred here. Some Japanese soldiers would break into refugee camps at night and kidnap some women before Vautrin and other missionaries could stop them. Vautrin managed to rescue many girls from the Japanese army's clutches and ordered the Japanese out of the zone. However, these Japanese were not accustomed to dealing with strong women like Vautrin. They slapped her around or threatened her with bloody swords, bayonets, and guns. Minnie Vautrin was a strong woman and a hero, but in the end she found it impossible to sustain the mental torture of living in this hell of Nanjing. Shortly after the massacre, she suffered a mental breakdown and had to return to the United States, but she never recovered. One day, she committed suicide. Rabe's diary and Vautrin's diary are direct evidence of the Nanjing Massacre, and these pieces of evidence were discovered by Chunru, Irish Chang. She wants to make people all over the world aware of what happened in Nanjing in 1937, so that tragedies like the Nanjing Massacre will not happen again. She said forgetting what happened in Nanjing is like the second massacre. So she spent her whole life fighting for the truth of losing its voice. She searched through libraries in the United States, but she did not find any relevant records. So she returned to China alone and visited a large number of survivors. With a deeper understanding, she decided to write down the truth, and the cruel truth during the writing process also tormented her deeply. In 1997, Irish English written book The Rape of Nanking, The Forgotten Holocaust of World War II was officially published. The book caused a sensation as soon as it was published. Under various pressures, she went on lecture tour to expose the historical truths of more than 300,000 Chinese civilians and soldiers were systematically raped, tortured, and murdered within weeks by the Japanese army, which caused strong reactions worldwide.
Now, during World War II, Japan's invasion of China launched an 8-year war, which ultimately killed an estimated 19 million to 35 million Chinese people. And during this time, the Japanese military also lured, purchased, or kidnapped hundreds of thousands of women for sexual slavery for their imperial army, women who were subjected to some of the most horrifying experiences inflicted upon military prostitutes in history. What I plan to do this morning is use the rape of Nanking, the subject of my new book, as just one example to illustrate what the Japanese did in many of the regions that they conquered. I'll also show some of the glaring scars that were left behind, which persist to this very day. About 61 years ago, in December of 1937, the Japanese Imperial Army invaded the city of Nanking, which was then the seat of the nationalist government in China, as well as the capital of mainland China. And within a 6 to 8 week period, the Japanese army not only looted and burned this defenseless city, but systematically raped, tortured, and murdered some 300,000 Chinese civilians. It's very hard, I think, for all of us to conceptualize 300,000 deaths until we put this number in the context of world history. More people would die from the rape of Nanking than from the atomic blasts at Hiroshima and Nagasaki combined. In fact, the death toll of Nanking, just one Chinese city alone, during 6 to 8 weeks, far exceeded the total civilian casualty count of 3 European countries combined for all of World War II, England, France, and Belgium. So it's important to realize that Nanking is already one of the greatest atrocities of world history, and yet it is just one small fraction of the atrocities that were perpetrated across Asia and, of course, in China by the Japanese armies, which had killed perhaps as many as 35 million Chinese people. But numbers don't tell the full story of the rape of Nanking. You really can't measure the degree of torture and suffering that was inflicted upon the civilians in that city. There were stories of women who were nailed to walls and impaled after being raped, or nailed to boards and run over by army tanks. There were stories of people being hanged by their tongues on iron hooks, or buried waist down in the soil so they could be ripped apart by German shepherds. Even small children weren't spared the carnage at Nanking. Babies were tossed in the air and bayoneted on the way down, or thrown alive into vats of boiling water. Indeed, the orgy of violence would prove to be so brutal in the city that even the Nazi party members in Nanking were shocked at the spectacle. Now, the rape of Nanking was not what many Japanese revisionists claim today, a massacre that was perpetrated in the heat of battle, in which some innocent civilians got caught in the crossfire. This was a cold and systematic massacre that was perpetrated against thousands of Chinese civilians and Chinese unarmed POWs who had already thrown away their weapons and surrendered after the city fell. The Japanese military had issued a kill all captives order at the time, which seems to have come as a directive from some of the highest levels of military power. And the Japanese soldiers carried out this order systematically. And within the first few days of the massacre, the army rounded up tens of thousands of men and herded them into warehouses and then led them out to remote areas of the city after the men had permitted their hands to be tied behind their backs. And across the city, the army machine gunned tens of thousands of Chinese men, or buried them alive, or used them for bayonet practice, or decapitation contests, or thousands of men were simply sprayed with gasoline and set on fire. Now, most of these executions were efficient, but there were men who died under the most slow, sadistic, and excruciatingly painful circumstances when Japanese soldiers turned murder into sport. There were cases of Chinese men who were skinned alive, crucified, pricked to death by needles, and even cannibalized. After killing most of the men in the city in this fashion, the Japanese army then turned their attention on the Chinese women, making the rape of Nanking the single greatest mass rape of world history up to that moment. In the city of Nanking, no woman was safe. Japanese soldiers raped great-grandmothers over the ages of 80, along with children under the ages of 8. Often victims were raped in broad daylight in front of hundreds of pedestrians, often in the middle of streets. And the army did more than just rape women and girls, but often mutilated them horribly with tree branches, bayonets, swords, golf sticks, and even lit firecrackers. There were even stories of soldiers who sliced open small children to ravish them more effectively, and even stories of pregnant women who were gang raped before the fetuses were torn out of their bellies as trophies. And these aren't even some of the worst stories. Chinese sons were sometimes even forced to rape their own mothers, or fathers their own daughters, or brothers their own sisters, as other family members watched. Those who refused were usually killed on the spot.
The retaliation and threats from the right-wing forces in Japan also came one after another, and finally she suffered a nervous breakdown and ended her life. Her 36-year life was short, but she illuminated the long night of history with the powerful one. I hope people around the world can understand these historical truths and read books such as Rabe's Diary, Vautrin's Diary, and The Rape of Nanking, The Forgotten Holocaust of World War II. These books have been translated into many languages, and I sincerely hope you to read them. I shed a lot of tears while making this video. I just want to say that we have no rights to forgive them from the perspective of the victims, especially since we have never received any official written apology statement and reparations from Japan. Recently, China has discovered the latest criminal evidence about the Japanese Unit 731, including the personal information registration form left by a few 731 members. There are a total of 25 memorials for the victims of the Nanjing Massacre, and these monuments are buried the bones of more than 300,000 victims, the strongest witness and evidence of the Nanjing Massacre. In addition, I have found a video of a peace journey across time and space. Please watch.
Hi, my name is Carly Brady and I'm 19 years old. My great-grandfather Richard Brady worked as a surgeon at Drum Tower Hospital in Nanjing for about 10 years, and he had worked with the American doctor Robert Wilson to treat refugees who were wounded during the dark days of the Nanjing Massacre. The 4 generations of my family have been closely connected with Nanjing for over 8 decades. My grandfather grew up in Nanjing, and I have always been imperceptibly influenced by the experience of his time there. When I saw the historical relics in the memorial hall, I could deeply feel, through the words and pictures, the connection with the unforgettable, sad and heartbreaking memories. I want more people in the world to get to know the history of the Nanjing Massacre. December 13th is China's National Memorial Day for the victims of the Nanjing Massacre. With my father, I attended the ceremony and the International Candlelight Vigil at the Memorial Hall of the victims of the Nanjing Massacre by Japanese invaders. After attending the ceremony, I felt deeply moved. Through knowing history, we can better understand what peace is. As the descendants of international friends, I hope to continue the friendship with the city of Nanjing and pass on the kindness, bravery, and justice under the test of life and death. I met other international friends who are also willing to embrace history and spread peace. I like the city of Nanjing, especially the way it looks now. I am honored to have this connection with China, and I hope more people will be inspired by my family's story. After returning to Canada, I will tell my friends about what I saw and heard in Nanjing so that more people can learn the history of the Nanjing Massacre and know the beauty of Nanjing.
The truths always exist, and no one can attempt to erase the historical truths of the Nanjing Massacre. If you ignore the past, you jeopardize the future. Everyone should face and remember the historical truths and cherish peace nowadays. After that, I was already physically and mentally exhausted, so I decided to go to Xuanwu Lake to see the sunset. Half an hour later, I arrived at the Xuanwu Gate and entered the Xuanwu Lake Park, which was very large. I first looked to the right to see the lake view. There were many tourists walking and strolling in the park. Local residents were playing cards and chatting in the pavilion. Children were playing with their family. Elderly people were exercising, like playing Tai Chi. Young people were lying on the lawn by the lake, leisurely chatting. The weather is nice today with a warm spring breeze. I decided to find a great place to watch the sunset, so I started chasing after the sunset. The sun shone brilliantly on the lake surface, and the road was also covered with golden color. Look at these beautiful and tall wuton trees all over the city, adding a strong romantic atmosphere. Finally arrived at the couples park. Although it was a bit late, I saw a beautiful sunset here. It was gradually getting dark. After watching the night view for a while, I decided to go back to my accommodation. I found that many local residents were running and walking here at night, either in groups or alone. In the end, I met a group of children practicing roller skating on the square. I also met several foreigners watching the night view by the lake.